Hey everybody, Nitpickers here with another completely unscripted and random off the top of my head rant. I actually kind of thought up this rant a few minutes ago while watching, I believe it was Charlie Borman's By Any Means. Yeah, that's it. And I felt I really needed to rant about this, as I've seen this quite a lot recently. This is movie nitpickers. The people who will find any sort of minor flaw with a film or sort of minor undertone or anything like that and still make it and blow it all out of proportion, make it such a big deal as if it really affects how the film, does overall, how well it actually is, as if it's, actually fair criticism. And a lot of these times, that these people are just being absolutely ridiculous and absolutely unreasonable. And I honestly think that some people will do anything to, call a protest or spark criticism or something about that. And, some fanboys especially will just never be happy with how good something is, how different an opinion might be, or how fair a criticism, or or especially how fair an adaptation of something is. The most recent and the most the one that everybody's talking about at the moment, which will have a lot of people nitpicking about, is Watchmen. There have been so many nitpicks with this film, probably because it's such hyped up, and this comic book is such in high regard and so celebrated that any adaptation is instantly going to be, horrible, absolute shit. No matter how good the adaptation is. In my opinion, Watchmen was a brilliant film because it kept the core story elements and kept the depth of the character development and everything and all that made them great, while cutting out some subplots which would have overcomplicated the film. Then it would have been less enjoyable and harder to follow. But still, there are a lot of people who absolutely just nitpick the hell out of this film because they didn't include the exact kind of subplot. It wasn't exactly right. It's like, for example, Rorschach's scene with the bad guy in the comic. With this, he's tracked down this murderer. In the comic, what he does is he chains into the boiler. I think he breaks his arm or something. Behind his back, hands him a saw and just says, "If you want to get out in time, you're going to have to saw through your own arm to do that." And he sets the bloody building on fire. Then he goes out of the building and just watches it as it slowly burns away. Yeah, and that was a great dramatic scene and a really powerful and interesting way to show the kind of character that Rorschach actually is. However, in the film, what he does is he, chains him up and then just gets an axe and splits his head open. I don't think that was nearly as effective. However, it worked. It still actually what it still did was it still showed the kind of brutal and almost black and white. Well, it's strange because Rorschach is not a black and white character. He sees the world in black and white, absolutes, good or evil, no exceptions, no forgiveness, nothing like that. And yet he himself could be considered a villain because he is so brutal and, almost malicious in the way he actually gets to the information and goes about being a vigilante. And I thought that was very interesting. And there were also some scenes missing with the Silk Spectre and the Night Owl and so on and so forth. A lot of little details and things that were changed, but did not make much of a difference. And yet people, especially hand comic book fans, they still feel the need to think this is a big flaw of the movie because it wasn't done exactly right. You cannot make a shot-for-shot adaptation of the, you know, the whole comic book. It's just impossible. It'd be way too long, way too overly complicated just for a film. And I think the Watchmen film that Zack Snyder made was a brilliant sum up to it all. It wasn't perfect by any means. I don't think it was perfect. No, there was I have my fair criticisms of it, but and while some scenes could have been done better, they certainly did the job. They served their purpose. They did it well. And I'm going to say this again: Dr. Manhattan's penis. Yes, you see his dick. So freaking what? Is that really such a big problem in a movie? Is that really so distracting and such an epic problem? Like, oh no, we saw a giant blue man's dick, what are we gonna do? The world's coming to an end, no! No, it's nothing like that. It's absolutely ridiculous, you know, kind of criticism by the prudes and out there, because, you know, for some reason the male sexual reproduction organ is such a horrible sight to anyone who's heterosexual, while showing boobs and female cutscenes and nudity and all that is perfectly okay. It's not okay to show a giant blue guy's dick. And also the slow-mo shots. The slow-mo shots were few and far between, but when they were there, I think they worked quite well. But still people think that, oh, the slow-mo shots are so overdone, they're so bad, so slow it down so much. They don't. They add maybe a couple of seconds to a shot at most. That is hardly any sort of, you know, relative something bad. That's hardly a criticism, and that's hardly, you know, something that really affects the film very, very, very much. And, you know, really with the kind of film that this is, it's just, you know, the narrative complexity and the depth of the story and the characters. If you're not willing to understand that, and you complain about the blood, the gore, the nudity, then you haven't read the comic book and you need to grow the fuck up. Zack Snyder is being very faithful to the source material here. He's the most faithful you can possibly get, and yet some people still feel the need to nitpick and say all these problems are such a huge, you know, issue to the film when they're not. And some people are just controversy whores. Yeah, I'll say it. They're controversy whores. With Zack Snyder's previous work, 300, you know, there are people coming out and saying that they were racist because they portrayed the Persians as, you know, absolutely evil, heartless, monstrous bastards. Excuse me. Oh, I cannot believe these people saying it was some. I think Wikipedia said it was actually banned in parts of maybe what was Persia, because, you know, it was apparently so racist and portrayed them in such a negative way. That's the whole bloody point. Look, let me get this straight. Let me sort this out for you. 300 was not supposed to be an exact representation of the events that took place during, you know, the 300 Spartans, the Battle for Thermopylae. It's a dramatisation based around, you know, a Spartan's point of view. This is how a Spartan is seeing it, so he can rally the troops and provide a motivational speech for his troops, for it. Of course he's going to exaggerate. Of course he's going to make them look like evil, maniacal, hateful monsters. Of course he's going to do that. He's a Spartan. That's what Spartans are like. That's what they're supposed. That's part of their character development, and that's what makes this film especially good, because it gives a brilliant portrayal of what Spartan would say, and if he was telling a story, this is what he'd like, and it makes it very more interesting. A lot more interesting, rather. To top it all off, in Slumdog Millionaire, there have been protests by people in the slums saying, "I am not a slumdog, I am not a dog," as if the film was actually degrading people in the slums. Far from it. It was Slumdog Millionaire is a brilliant film that shows just how hard life in the slums can be, and it's a true underdog story, where reality just got somewhere by the balls, and just shows how they can rise up and gain so much and learn so much from life that's just treated them so harshly. And some people were claiming that, you know, it's racist because it portrays Hindus in a negative way, and that some Hindus wanted it banned the film because it showed them to be hateful. Bullshit! That race riots and religious extremists are a stark reality, I'm afraid. This is what will actually happen, and I, think that the movie had a lot of balls showing that, and showing just how many problems and how much bullshit that these people would have to go through. Sum it all up, learn something about films and stop trying to create controversy, you stupid fucking nitpickers. This is Nightmare 060, and I will see you all on the dark side of the moon. Off and away.